are listening to the SitRep podcast, your source for everything related to historical wargaming. Whether you are looking for the latest wargaming news, reviews, painting tutorials, or playthroughs, you will hear about it right here. So grab your favorite beverage or brush and let's hit it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the return of the SitRep podcast. We have been off a few weeks here. I think our last show was the June 6th D-Day show, and now we're at the end of June. We had Father's Day in there, and just timing and stuff, so we are glad to be back, albeit with some changes to the crew. Sadly, Gaz is no longer part of the SitRep podcast team. He has decided to step away and to explore other options, and we wish him well. And so we'll be in the hunt for a new news editor. We will try and fill his shoes until we do, but good luck, Gaz, wherever you are, and we wish you nothing but the best. All right, we got that crap out of the way.
It was the news team that did it, wasn't it?
I think you stepped on his toes, man, to be honest. Last time we had a show, you're like, oh, I got this and I got this, and you're like, man. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't feel loved anymore. Maybe it was his girlfriend on the intro. Maybe they finally hooked up and he decided he fell in love and didn't need us anymore, right? So, anyhow, we got a lot to talk about today. Projects we've been working on, projects upcoming, and other things like that. So let me introduce the survivors. At this point in time, I'm going to call us the Mighty Four. Starting down in the deep south of the tropics of the United States of God bless America, Sir Jim O'Riskany. How are you, sir?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing great.
Awesome. And then here in the Midwest, representing everything that's mom and apple pie. Boy, I'm really throwing on the patriotic. Well, it is close to our Independence Day. Sir Chris, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
All right. And Martin, how are you, sir?
I am well. Oh, thank you.
Excellent. And then there's myself, Bill, SitRep 6, and we are ready to rock and roll this show. And let's get started with the usual format of what's up in your hobby world. So, Marty, we're going to start with you. I know you did a little bit of traveling. Did you get any inspiration from where you went?
So, we went down to Orlando and did the theme park thing there last week, actually. I came back last Saturday. And, if you're into Star Wars stuff, I did spend a lot of quality time at Galaxy's Edge.
Nice. Did you get a lightsaber?
I did not buy a lightsaber because apparently the good ones are like $9,000.
Oh, they're not that bad.
They're straight up $1,500 though. You can spend as much money as you want on
True.
one of them lightsabers.
True.
So that will be for a future trip, perhaps.
Awesome.
But we did have a good time, and got to go on the Rise of the Resistance ride. That's one that's really tough to get into.
Mm-hmm.
They've got this crazy system where you have to get in a virtual queue, and the virtual queue that opened up at 7 a.m. was filled in 4 seconds. So we didn't make that one, but they opened another one up at 1 p.m. and we talked to some of the park staff on how do you really get into this, and this dude gave us some tips and tricks, and bam, got to go ride the ride that afternoon. Pretty excited.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's a cool spot. And beyond that, let's see. I was working a little bit on my Afghan police guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm badge painting them, and there's like 40 of them. So it's just taking me a while. As well as our good friend Chris Long opened his own digital store.
Yep.
And I am order number 1 from him, and his stuff arrived. So, it was kind of a test run as well, just to, make sure the entire system works, all the ordering works, you can pay for it, and how long shipping takes, all that jazz. But those arrived, I think, Wednesday they got here. Okay. So they're still on still on spruce, so I'm clipping like a platoon's worth of insurgents off their spruce. Nice to be able to get back into it a little bit.
Nice.
This is all stuff that he has 3D printed?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. The stuff
How's
that
it
he
look?
got the license for. It looks pretty good. I mean, so when you first get it, it's kind of challenging because it's still on spruce, got all the supports and stuff on there.
Oh, okay.
Once you clip them little dudes away, I'm like, oh, that's really nice. And I've got a pretty good variety of dudes. So I've got some guys that are just standing there with a cell phone. I've got dudes with heavy machine guns, light machine guns. I got some RPG guys. So there's a good variety of dudes in there.
Yeah, awesome.
Which will help flesh out a couple of my tables. So I'm pretty excited about that. You will be seeing them in the future.
Very cool. Awesome.
So, Marty, did you say that you were order number one?
Yep.
That is not surprising. We've been telling you you're number one for years.
Yeah, except you used the wrong finger.
Oh, no.
Now I have to wait for someone else to order because I don't want to be number two.
But someone else has ordered, Jim, so you're okay.
Outstanding.
All right, so Marty, we definitely need to get some kind of pictures or video review of that stuff so we can help Chris out, post it up on the Facebook page, and maybe a little YouTube review as well.
Yeah, well, I figured I would clip the dudes off the spruce first, so that way you can actually see the detail and whatnot. And then, we'll do something there. We'll certainly show them off, as before, and then maybe do some live stream painting or something.
Awesome, very cool. All right. Anything else, Marty, before we move on to the next person?
No, that's about all I've done in the past few weeks.
All right. Chris, what you been up to?
A lot of work and just trying to get stuff around here. Unfortunately, I have not had an opportunity to really do any hobbying stuff, but I'm hoping to put that behind me today.
Awesome. Okay. And then moving down south, Jim, it's probably been another typical week with you. You read a little bit of this and done much of nothing else. Typical light week for you, right?
Another lazy week. Yeah, not much going on. This may all be in the wrong order here. But first of all, we started off with some this past June 22nd, so 5 days ago as of this recording, was June 22nd, 2021, which happened to be the 80th anniversary of what is still largely considered the largest single military attack in the history of mankind. So being the exact 80th anniversary of the day, we didn't want to let that go by us. Of course, I'm talking about Operation Barbarossa, the initial Axis invasion of the Soviet Union on June 22nd, 1941. So we didn't really want to let that go completely by us. We didn't really have anything super prepared for it. So some old battle reports went up on Discord. We put some stuff up on Tabletop. And most immediately, we ran a small game of People's General, I think it was Tuesday night, to sort of, commemorate the very first tank battle on the Eastern Front. That's the Battle of Prujana, which took place right at sunset of that very first day of the German invasion. So like 1800 hours local, 22 June 1941. A very light game, just something to make sure that the anniversary didn't go completely past us. And then we had a little bit of a collaboration on Wednesday. We tried the Valor and Victory, the new video game or the new computer game.
Yeah.
Slytherin, Matrix, Yobo War Games. There's a partnership structure there. I'm not entirely sure how that works. So we had that stream on Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. I am reading some other reviews of that, and they're having some of the same questions we are. Particularly around casualty management.
Okay. I can tell you there was an update. I just uploaded it yesterday. I don't think it fixes those items. I think it was more of just behind the scenes kind of stuff. But it'll be interesting to see if they address those issues here. There wasn't too much on like the forum pages yet, so hopefully we see some.
it's nothing wrong with the game. The game is
No.
We don't want to give that impression. It's
Right.
One of the key mechanics in the original tabletop version of that game is when you take casualties, do you pin a lot of your own guys? You're running across a hedgerow and you take some MG42 fire. Okay, you take 3 casualty points or whatever. It doesn't say so many guys killed, so many guys wounded, so many guys pinned down. You take 3 casualty points. And that sounds kind of abstract, except what the system's really doing is giving you as the commander the choice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your bayonet in your guy's back saying go, go, go? In which case, okay, maybe those 3 casualty points equals half a squad killed, or are you being very cautious and okay, those 3 casualty points are 3 fire teams or 3 squads pinned down, and that the tabletop game gives you that choice, where the computer game seems to do it in a more automated fashion. It does make the game go faster. We got through an entire game in 40 minutes or something like that.
Roughly, yeah. After we got all the technical problems.
Oh yeah, well. That wasn't the game's. That wasn't
the game's fault.
Yeah, but other than that, there are some things that are not included in the initial release, but I actually am kind of in touch with some of the developers, and that stuff is coming out for a second release. Last I heard, it was later this year, like maybe November, December. This release did happen right on schedule, so I have no reason to doubt that the next release will also be on schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, it's later on this year, maybe early 2022. That's where you're going to get artillery, snipers, and so on.
Did they say anything about the Valorous rule?
I haven't asked that question specifically.
Okay. All right.
But yeah. When you rolled Snake Eyes that one time, I was like, oh, dude, this is a tabletop game. Now, you might not, you get a chance to make the roll.
Right.
And the
it's
roll
not
is very
automatic.
difficult.
Yeah.
So you may not get a Valorous unit, but yeah, a Valorous unit, especially on a full stack like that, with a leader in the stack, that's a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
You basically just like a fire team of Clint Eastwood, John Rambo, and Charles Bronson just like appears in your order of battle, and the enemy just dies. It's just everyone dies. It all burns. It all dies. It's just horrible. It's a horrible glory.
That's awesome. Very cool. And Jim, do you want to talk about what you got coming up next weekend, or do you want to wait and we can talk about that a little bit more detail?
Later on today, we've got a Barbarossa game scheduled for myself and community member Chip.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, classic Panzer Blitz, because, you have to do...
Of course.
If you're going to do Barbarossa on the Eastern Front, you have to do Panzer Blitz. It's
right.
Literally the game that's written for that. It's actually the second largest tank battle in human history. It takes place 80 years ago this week. It's like the 26th through the 30th of June 1941. It's one of the first big Soviet counterattacks against the Barbarossa offensive that we were talking about before. It's a mess. It's a wild, just tank shit show. But we're going to do a small piece of that later on today. Obviously, not the whole thing because we'd be here till Christmas. And with next Sunday being Independence Day, I will not be running a stream. I'll be out of town. So we are doing some, I've got some 20 millimeter American Revolution tables set up, or I should say I have a table of 20 millimeter American Revolution going. And first turn of that has now been played. The filming is in the can, so I'm hoping to have some actual, physical 20 millimeter hobby for American Revolution posted next Sunday. It'll be right on Independence Day. Being Independence Day, it's got to be American Revolution.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be our Sons of Liberty virtual stuff or our American War of Independence People's General. It's going to be an actual old school, little plastic dudes, painted, running around terrain, kind of a table game. Fantastic. Yep.
What rule set?
We'll have to watch the video and find out. It's an unconventional rule set, but it's a rule set I've used before. We used it for our. It's not Muskets and Tomahawks. I tried Muskets and Tomahawks. I know it's really popular. I know a lot of people like it. I don't like it. It's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for a number of reasons. I don't want to trash the game, but it's not that one. It's not Rebels and Redcoats because that's too complicated. It's not Patriots and whatever the hell the other one is because it's too simple. American people have asked me this. There's even a thread about this in the forums on Tabletop. Like, what's a good American Revolution war game? It's tough. There aren't a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sharps Practice doesn't work for that. The black powder doesn't work for it. It just doesn't. For a lot of reasons. American Revolution seems to be one of those conflicts where no one writes rules for it, really. They write rules for 7 Years' War. They write rules for American Civil War. They write rules for Napoleonics. And then they say, oh, well, it's all good, man. You can play American Revolution with that because black powder and flags and flutes and drums, it's all the same, right? It's not all the same, all right? They're rocket scientists. It really isn't. And you run into a lot of problems. Also, as we all know, the American Revolution is tremendously asymmetrical. It's got all these special conditions that don't apply to continental conflicts like, again, Napoleonics or 7 Years' War, all this other stuff. It's a tough fit.
Yeah.
So I got another system. It works surprisingly well. It's kind of surprising when people hear, like, you're using that for this? Really? And you're complaining about Sharps Practice? Believe it or not, it kind of works. So, yeah, hopefully, again, the footage is all in the can. I have to ADR all the footage, all the dialogue and narration. I have to put effects in, music, It's going to be a little bit of work, but it'll be ready to go before July 4th for sure.
All right, awesome. Very cool. All right. For myself, I've been obviously finishing up the 3-part video series on the diorama model, War Without Hate. Apologize that we didn't get part 3 out last Wednesday, but I was not happy with the initial soundtrack, so I redid it this past weekend. And it's in the can, scheduled to go out noon Wednesday, noon BST, to give our friends over on the other side of the pond an opportunity to watch it instead of waiting till like late in the evening for them. So it'll be 6 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So yeah, that's done. You're going to learn that I did a huge rookie mistake. Huge. I just, for whatever reason, wasn't thinking and just started slapping on some nun oil. And I went, son of a beach. So watch the video and you will, learn all about that. So, the only thing I can tell you is...
But I thought nun oil fixed everything.
No.
No. I might have to change my painting technique.
So you will learn a wise piece of advice. Somebody told me, when you get to a point where you think it's good enough, leave it the hell alone. Quit trying to do better, because eventually you're going to overdo it and just mess it all up. So there's that.
So if I'm okay with unpainted miniatures, that's cool?
Say that again, Chris.
If I'm okay with unpainted miniatures, is that cool?
No. Well,
you need to just slather yours in nun oil.
Yeah, just slather yours in nun oil. I mean, if there's no paint on them, it ain't going to screw it up. So,
well, I've seen my painting, and without paint, they look better. So.
Well, that goes back to a conversation we've had on this podcast many a times about painted minis versus non-painted. Play with what you got. If you don't want to paint them, don't paint them. Just understand that in some environments, unpainted minis are a no-no. But if it's a casual friendly game, who cares? We'll just make fun of you. That's all.
I was going to say, although, we are going to give you crap about it.
Yeah. But you know what? If I put a lot of effort into it and showed up with them, you'd still give me a lot of crap about it.
Well, to be honest, Chris, even if they were like the best painted miniatures, we'd still give you crap. It's just the way it is. So.
And if you put two colors on a piece of plastic, we'll be amazed.
Right?
3 colors and up is the tournament standard, right?
Yeah, something like that. So, as Jim said, he's working on his 20 millimeter American Revolution, War of Independence, whatever the proper term, depending where you're at. is, which, got me thinking about some other projects. I have that big old box of the Civil War set, from Warlord Games, and I'm still working on that. I think I've come up with a newer method for speed painting, at least the Union troops. It's going to involve some simple masking, but I think I can do it with an airbrush and some painter's tape and get, them down and then just go over them with little details here and there. But I'll probably do a video on that. But I really was trying to get everything together to celebrate another big battle that happens this coming week during the American Civil War. And
the big one.
The big one.
The biggest battle ever to take place in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah. Jim, you want to give us a little rundown on that one?
Yeah, we're talking about the Battle of Gaines Mill. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, oh shit, did I do something wrong? Did I not?
No, of course we're talking about Gettysburg.
Yeah.
The big one. The Waterloo of the Americas, some would say. July 1st through 3rd, 1863. Army of Northern Virginia versus Army of the Potomac. Lee versus Meade. And, the big throwdown in southern Pennsylvania. That sort of was one of several battles. It wasn't. It often kind of gets credit as like the turning point. It's one of several, or at least two, that kind of take place really right about almost on the exact same day. July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is Gettysburg, and July 4th, kind of in its shadow, is the fall of, I think it's Vicksburg, over on the Mississippi. So the Confederacy they had a really bad week those 4 days. They wound up taking two massive defeats, both on the eastern end of the war and the western end of the war. And that was pretty much it. Because once they lost Vicksburg, that was pretty much the end of their control of the Mississippi River, and that more or less slices off the western third of the Confederacy.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that was a long battle. I'm looking at the siege of Vicksburg started May 18th and ended July 4th. Wow. Yeah,
Vicksburg. I mean, again, Gettysburg is the one I know a lot about. It's the big classic, maneuver battle. Black powder. Everyone does it in miniature form or war game form. Vicksburg, in a lot of ways, is more interesting because it's again, like you're saying, it's more of a siege than a battle, which means it's tough to war game.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you're going to need all kinds of gunboats, paddle wheels, ironclads. It's a big combined arms sort of an operation. There's a lot of, I guess, what we would almost sort of consider. I mean, it's not off an ocean; it's off a river, so it's like amphibious light kind of operations. There's a lot of stuff going on there. It's a very complex battle in terms of logistics and different arms of the service or whatever. Especially for that era.
Yeah, I was looking at just some basic statistics. It was estimated 110,000 soldiers were involved, 77,000 Union, 33,000 Confederates. And out of those 110,000, they had 37,000 casualties, 4,900 to the Union side and 32,000 to the Confederates. Jeez.
Yeah, that number gets...
Damn.
It's not... It sounds like number one, yes, the Confederates lost the battle.
Yeah.
But with battles like sieges, Stalingrad, Leningrad, Vicksburg, all these big sieges, you gotta, I don't want to say that it's not right, but it's a siege.
Yeah.
So Vicksburg is surrounded. And when the siege ends in victory for the force that's doing the besieging, what usually happens is the entire enemy garrison winds up as POWs, and that's technically a casualty. So you said it was like 33,000 Confederates involved, and 32,000 of them were casualties.
Yeah,
something like that. You said, yeah, that's the garrison surrendered.
Yeah,
he got marched off in prisoner of war camps. That's why you have nearly a 100% casualty rate.
That's crazy.
It's a bit of a statistical.
Thing. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that because I thought all those dudes got killed when you said that. I'm like,
no, that's killed and wounded and surrendered. Loss of troops to the army. Yeah.
Casualties goes from KIA to PWOP, pregnant without permission. No, I'm serious. A casualty is it's a casual personnel. It's someone who is not active. So if you're not active for any reason, technically when you're on leave, you're a casualty. You are a combat non-effective.
Yeah.
Again, that's just an admin statistics thing, kind of, But when it comes to sieges and you get these really crazy, casualty figures, that's usually what it is. It's a surrendering garrison. Savannah in the American Civil War, the American War of Independence is like that. Saratoga for the British is like that. In the American Revolution, you get these completely wonky casualty rates. And again, prisoner of war, POW, is technically a casualty classification.
Mm-hmm. That's just crazy. So those are a couple of the other big battles in history at this time. There's one more that just would have happened here in the last couple of days. One that's near and dear to my heart, and that's the Battle of the Little Bighorn. That happened June 25, 26, 1876. And he didn't win. He didn't survive. Yeah. So I actually have the Worthington Games Battle of the Little Bighorn. I got on a Kickstarter. I have yet to play it. I might have to crank it out now and do a little anniversary tribute to old George and the 7th Cav.
So when you say crank that out, how many miniatures are you talking about?
No, it's not a true hex and counter war game. It uses grid areas, and then you get these big counters that represent so many people. They're not like little hex counters like in Panzer Blitz or in Avalon Hill. They're kind of bigger chits, and it's area of control and stuff like that. So I'll have to.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like,
however, it does bring up a good point, because you could easily do the Battle of the Bighorn in 10 mil easily.
Yeah, it's 200 on the cavalry side.
Yeah, it was about 180 to 200 cavalry, 7th Cav. After they split their army, and I can't remember how many thousand Indians there were. It wasn't a lot. It was like 2,000-3,000. Was it? Maybe it's a little more, a little less. But yeah. So I mean, you only got to put together 180, 200 cavalry guys, and then just build your little hill and ravines.
You can kind of handle the like in a lot of Rourke's Rift games. You can handle the American natives as sort of like a wave tactic or something, right? You don't have to build like 2,000 or 3,000.
Exactly.
And was it really that many? I mean, that that battle's kind of gone down, or is sometimes characterized as like this, a technologically superior U.S. cavalry force versus this huge force of Native Americans. I actually think that one of the many reasons the cavalry lost that battle is that the Native Americans, I think, had more advanced weapons than the cavalry did in a lot of cases. I think the Henry. I probably shouldn't have brought this up because I'm not on firm enough ground here. Some of the rifles that the Native Americans were using were actually more advanced than the repeaters that the cavalry were using, if memory serves. Right,
because a lot of the Indians were using Winchesters, repeating rifles, whereas the 7th Cavalry was still using Remingtons and Sharps carbines, cavalry carbines. They weren't repeating rifles.
There's the Henry Martini or Henry Martin. I'm getting something wrong here. I should probably Google it up. There's another type of rifle in there that I think somehow they were buying from the French, or there was a Spanish guy who had a bunch of them. He was selling them. I probably shouldn't be running my mouth about this, but yeah, they had like a back channel of arms that was actually doing pretty well compared to what the 7th Cavalry was using.
Yeah.
So it's not just a American cavalry force with good rifles against this huge force with guys with bows and arrows. The Native Americans actually had, in many cases, better weapons. And then, of course, they outnumbered them. And, of course, they had them outflanked on 4 sides. And, of course, there was a whole lot going into that disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of tactical missteps leading up to that.
Absolutely.
So, according to... I just accessed it. The U.S. military, the U.S. Army's American Military History volume. Which one is this? Volume 1, American Military History, published by the United States Army. Their estimate, based on everything that they were able to get from information, it was 2,000 American Indians under Sitting Bull and, oh my God, Crazy Horse and others, Sioux and Cheyenne, versus the 200 soldiers of Custer's command. So, yeah.
Yeah, the Henry repeating rifle.
Yeah.
Is one of the rifles that Native Americans were using on top of everything else.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Those are some of the battles that have taken place during this time frame that are better well known. Obviously, there were others. You could bring up a list, and there'd be others throughout history, but those are some that are very well known and to us especially.
We talked about this once before, where it was like, you go through February. Not that many battles going on, like anniversaries. Once you hit June, July, it's like every day there's something.
Yeah.
Every day there's several battles.
Season.
War is seasonal,
yes.
Especially in history when, like nowadays war is a 24 hours, 365, a year thing. Back in the day, now you had to wait for nice weather. It's going to taper off by the time you get into August and September, but right now we're in our busy season, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, even when I was in Afghanistan, we would see seasonal increases in fighting. So I mean, it's still around today, not to the same extent it was back then, but that's still a thing.
Well, not just that. Even closer to us in Chicago, when it gets hot out, people get stupid.
Yeah, and that's true. Bad weather and cold will keep it down to I was going to say a dull roar. I don't know if that's true in Chicago, but
a duller roar, maybe.
Yeah.
But I also want to bring up one thing in history. 2 days ago was also anniversary of the start of the Korean War.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, I didn't know that. For some reason, I see it starting like in the fall, winter. I mean, to me, the Korean War always seems like perpetual winter. And I know that's not the case, but...
Well, it's because the big battle at Chosin Reservoir, I think, is what so many of us think of when we think of the Korean War.
Right.
But as we know from MASH, it happened in the summer, too.
Yeah.
Of course, if we listen to MASH, the Korean War lasted 11 years, but...
Yeah, and Mobile Hospital that never moved.
Oh, no, they moved, but they went back.
Once in a while.
They moved like twice in 3 years.
Yeah, it was very infrequent.
Yeah. All right.
But,
we've all talked before. We know how much of a pain that is.
That's true, Dad.
That war is very, very fluid, very mobile the first year only. Once you get to the summer of 51, it pretty much locks in place. So the idea that the MASH unit doesn't move around a lot makes a sort of sense, at least for like 50, the back end of 51, 52, and 53. But 1950 and the beginning part of 51, that war was all over the place. Literally from Pusan perimeter to almost the Yalu River, it ran up and down the whole length of that peninsula.
Awesome. So there you go. Another important moment in combat battle history. All right, let's do some news. Shall we do some news? Let me get oh, never mind. That doesn't apply anymore. We're going to have to come up with a new news theme here. Son of a bitch. All right. In the news this podcast show, let's start out with Things from the Basement. Things from the Basement has shown off their new feudal Japan samurai residence. My only question is, and I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but I'm looking at it, and it's quite impressive. You've got 3 buildings surrounded by the high, classical walled fence gates of the compound. It's 16 inches by 16 inches, 28 millimeter scale. Complex features 4 separate buildings, all connected by walkways and platforms. Roof sections are removable, obviously. So you can use it for, test of honor and things like that. My question is it pre-colored or is it not? Let's see. According to this, unassembled and unpainted. Okay, so there you go. It looks really nice painted. I mean, it looks really pretty. So, guys, Things from the Basement, Feudal Japan, Samurai Residence. So, if you're looking for some Test of Honor Feudal Japan in 28mm for terrain pieces, it's $105 on sale, normally $111. So, here on the Sit Rep Podcast, we're going to tell you how much things cost. Unlike some other places where they don't want to tell you things price, as of the time of this recording, that's how much it costs if you're looking to budget for it.
And I see on the website it says they've only got a few left.
Yeah.
So if that's your jam, you might want to jump on it.
Right? I might have to get one. No, not really. I can't. Not right now. Not right now.
It's a really cool looking
It is. It's beautiful.
Up, though.
It is beautiful. So, something near and dear to Jim, I bet.
Oh.
Battle Group Stalingrad is out for pre-order.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of the Battle Group Rule Series, the next...
Should be. It's the best World War II miniature game I've had. Well, it's the best one that I've played.
Yeah.
The one reason I don't say it's the best period is because there are some out there that I haven't played. I haven't tried... I think it's Chain of Command. I haven't tried Rapid Fire. Some of the Too Fat Lardy stuff I haven't tried.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the ones that I've tried, it's not my favorite World War II game, but it's my favorite World War II miniatures game that I've tried so far, to be sure.
Awesome. So Plastic Soldier Company put up teaser of the cover of the rule book or the expansion, and it will be up for pre-order very soon. I was looking at some of the Piers' pictures for the rule book he was doing. He posted some on Facebook. And as always, it's going to be amazing. He does excellent work. So,
just curious, is the book hardcover or is it softcover?
You know what? It doesn't say. It doesn't say as of right now.
Any book is gorgeous, to be sure.
Yeah.
The hardcover books were like $50. They were pretty expensive, but
yeah.
I mean, damn, they were worth it. I mean, even if you don't like the game system, which you should because the game system's awesome. The books are just like they're really, really nice books.
Yeah, they really are. I've able to get some PDF versions, so because Jim and I still have to play a little bit of,
Yeah.
So
in these days we have to make time for it.
Yeah, we sure do.
We're going to do Vlacht am Rhein, right?
Yep.
The Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. I believe that's what we decided on doing. Okay, so moving on to another World War II themed game. This one's coming out of War Games Atlantic. I didn't know they were still around. I thought they got absorbed by Warlord, but I guess not. They're coming out with new miniature sets. These are plastic for a new game they are calling... the new game is by Gray for Now Games, which I'm trying to remember what else they make. I know that name. But the game that they're playing is called 0200 Hours, Night Raids in World War II. It's a skirmish game of nighttime raids as well as, World of Blaze Range. That's the War Games Atlantic. So you'll be joining French partisans, French infantry, Panzer Lehr, and some other World War II sets that are already in the works. So the miniatures look very interesting. I'm going to be honest with you. They look a little cartoony, personally. I don't know if that's just the artwork, and because they don't have...
yeah, they're kind of heroic.
Don't they look cartoony? Like video game cartoony?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they're good looking, but they do have that kind of flavor to them.
Yeah.
Although,
does that come down to how you paint it, or are you able to kind of mitigate that with?
Well, they only show one picture of it, and it's not a miniature, actual photo of miniatures. It's like an artist rendition, and it just looks cartoony, video game-ish.
Although I think this is something that Chris ought to jump on. Anything called Gray for Now. Unless they change their name to Gray Forever.
Oh no!
What's wrong with that?
You just throw some gray paint on it, some nun oil, and call it done.
Done.
It's night, anyways, right? Everything looks black and white at night, anyways. So there you go, Chris.
If it comes out, if it starts off gray, you put a wash on it. Now it looks like a black and white photograph.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems like it's right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Well, if I do some of the priming, I forgot what this is called.
Priming.
I had the
Primer.
top down from the
Zenithal.
Yeah, the Zenithal. You do that.
Uh-huh.
That's right there.
Yep. Well, Marty, we're also giving him credit because these are plastic sets, so I'm assuming that means assembly required.
It doesn't say.
Yeah, so.
I could build.
And Panzer
He likes building stuff.
Yeah.
Panzer Lair, I mean, that's not a name. That's not a division you normally associate with raids, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Brandenburger Regiment or Regiment 2000, Brandenburger 200. Those are like German special forces. Sonderkommando or whatever. You know, that makes sense. If I understand the pretense of the game right, or I should say the context of the game. It's like commandos, raids, partisans, resistance fighters, raids, special forces, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Panzer Lair wasn't really a special force, to my knowledge. If I'm thinking about the right thing, like
okay.
106 Panzer Grenadier Division, Panzer
maybe
Lair.
Panzer Lair is just there so the rest of them have something to raid.
Yeah. You know what? That's actually a good point. Panzer Lair was, if we're thinking about the same unit, again, with the German, you never really know because their military was very strangely organized in some ways, they were really running low panzer divisions near the end of the war, and they said, where can we get, we got plenty of tanks, we don't have enough crew.
Mm-hmm.
So they made the genius move of emptying out the Panzer Training School.
Oh.
And they took all the instructors out of the Panzer Training School. So you had one kick-ass division.
Gotcha.
Because you had all the guys, all the actual instructors were pretty much formed the NCOs and officer corps of this division, and they filled it in with some recruits or whatever.
Gotcha.
But then when that unit was more or less wiped out in Operation Cobra, you didn't have any new... you had blown up your Panzer School.
Gotcha.
So after that... the quality of the German Panzer troop kind of went in the toilet.
Okay.
Well, looking at the webpage, it says the first two kits is German Sentries, the classic foe for stealthy World War II ops. So I think that maybe they're designed to be the Op 4 so you can use your partisans and whatnot against them.
Yeah.
Panzer Lair is most famously deployed in northern France, part of Normandy. So, yeah, it makes sense with French Marquis resistance kind of guys.
Gotcha. So, how I said Gray for Games, I've heard of, and I couldn't remember. They're the ones who produce Test of Honor now. They took it back from Warlord, and so that's why I know them. So,
okay.
Yeah, so they're doing the Test of Honor game, the second edition or new edition, whatever you want to call it. So, awesome. All right, let's move on. So, Empress Miniatures. Well, before we do that, we've got to give a shout out to our good friends Bob Mack. I'm telling you what, have you seen the new Chieftains that they're going to be putting out in their next, I think is it a new Kickstarter?
This is for Anzac Vietnam, right?
Yeah. Kickstarter scheduled to go live on July 9th. So this is BOR, I think. Army of the Rhine. They're doing the next Kickstarter is Army of the Rhine. So they're going to have Chieftains. And they show it in 3 different scales. It looks like a 28 mil, a 20, and a 15. And it looks great in all 3 scales. So
a chieftain?
Yeah. FV4201 Chieftain. Yep.
Sorry. When they were on the show last, they were talking about Vietnam.
Yeah, so that was their old Kickstarter. This is the new upcoming one.
I had Vietnam on the brain. Sorry.
Gotcha.
To my knowledge, chieftains were never in Vietnam, so I meant Centurions.
Yeah.
Dude, a chieftain in 28 millimeter, that's going to be a beast. Yeah. That's going to be you better have a back brace on when you lift that resin. That's going to be a monster.
So my question is, can I take it down to 10? I just want to see how small can I go? Yeah, but the 3 examples I show is 28, 20, and 15. So I want to take it down to 10 so we can bring them into, North Ag. So,
might want to talk to Chris Long. Might be able to get it to you in 10.
Yeah, I can do it. I got my printer. I just got to get the file. So we'll definitely give it a shot. All right, moving on to some more Vietnam since you have it on the brain, sir. Empress Miniatures has gone crazy with their Vietnam line. They've got Arvin paratroops minis they're showing off. Really look really good. what really impressed me with these guys is I'm looking at it looks like an officer type. He's pointing with a pistol, so that pretty much tells you he's an officer type. And I'm looking at his kit, and everything looks proportionate. It's not super big rifles, all that kind of stuff. And the uniform looks correct. So they have the ARVN paratroopers. They have, what else did I see? Where are they? I lost the other page here. They have a ARVN with, it looks like a 30 cal. He's hand firing it for whatever reason, but he does have it, and it looks great. He's wearing a poncho, which is in the rainy season. That seems appropriate. And they had other ones that I wanted to show. They have what do they call this? A Ferret and Saladin armor cars. I think that's modern though, yep. Right? That's not Vietnam per se.
I'm not sure exactly when they came out, but it's modern-ish.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
So I'll tell you, man, Empress is doing a tremendous job on their Vietnam line. And along with that, there's another company called Full Metal Miniatures out of Kent, England, and they have showing off work in progress Anzac officer and RTO, radio operator. And they look really good. My criticism, and I know these are work in progress, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. The M16s that they guys are holding or shouldering, holy crap, they're huge. They seem way out of scale. So hopefully they'll fix that in the finals. So, and then they showed off again some guys carrying looks like M60s. Again, the
Anzacs.
Go ahead.
Anzacs normally carry FNs.
No, a lot of them I think were carrying M16s. Okay. From what I saw, I mean they probably had a mixture, but the M16, according to the note under this, says the M16 may be changed to an SLR, so they might change it. Yeah. So
FN Fall is the original British name, the British Belgian name, and then of course that's the second most commonly used assault rifle in the world, right after the AK.
Yeah.
Especially back in the 60s and 70s, and then God knows it's like the L1A1 in the British service. The Canadians have a name for it. It's like the C1 or something. The Australians have a name for it. Yeah. So yeah, the FN battle rifle, whatever.
Yeah. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. So there's a big push in doing some Vietnam miniature battling going on, which is really cool.
I love how half of Vietnam releases are Anzacs, and they made up like 1% of the force. They had I think the max they ever had there was like 5,000 people. In a war that was up to like 700,000 at one point, so it's literally less than 1%.
Yeah.
Outside of Tet Offensive, they never left Phuoc Toi province. So it's like one small corner, and they were in there for like 4 of the 10 years, and they never left that one province, and they made up like less than 1% of the total Allied forces. And yet, it's like, I think it's because so many of these companies come from Great Britain.
Probably. And Australia, yeah.
Yeah, Great Britain, Australia, New Zealand. I think Battlefront is still out of New Zealand, right?
As far as I know, yeah. They're still stationed there.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's it's just this huge confirmation bias about Anzacs.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. It gives you, it's better than just the typical American. It's nice to throw in some more flavor. I did see some
ARVN guys be
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
ARVN has this terrible reputation, and 99% of the time they totally deserve it. But there were some good units, like 37th Ranger Battalion. There were some ARVN guys at Quezon that stuck with the Marines the whole way through. The big Special Forces battle at Long Vay had some, I think it was Thai Special Forces. So it's nice to see, like you were saying, not just U.S. Army, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Army.
Mm-hmm.
Some other factions in there as well.
Yeah. So I want to close out the news with one final piece. Again, going back to Empress Miniatures, and they showed off some miniatures that were painted by, what's her name, Sarah Collins, 28 millimeter. These are the Anglo-Zulu War miniatures. Beautiful miniatures. So, of course, Rourke's Drift. You've got, Color Sergeant Bourne and Oh my God! Holy crowd! All their names are escaping me right now. So just beautifully painted, and if you guys are into that, like I am, I definitely would like to pick some of these up and work on those. So I have some minis from this from Warlord, but I think I'd like to pick these up as well. So very cool. All right, that's going to close out the news. So we're going to transition into some topics, and I'm going to open up because I found out I'm rich. I am very rich.
Hi, Rich. I'm Marty.
You want, and everybody's going, what?
Joke of the day.
What do you mean you're rich?
Yeah.
Okay, here's how here's how I'm going to quantify this. So, believe it or not, I was actually trying to go through stuff in my hobby room and in my other hobby closet and just start organizing things because it's just getting ridiculous. I open up my gun locker.
What?
I have ammunition that I didn't know I had. So there, I'm rich. Because
Right.
ammunition right now is ridiculous. I have 45 Colt, I have 45-70, I have 357 mag, I have 9mm. I got some 308. So, I mean, I've got a little bit, but, you know. So, anyways, outside of that, related to this hobby, I started going through boxes in the hobby closet. I got a lot of stuff that I forgot I had or,
crap.
you know, I have like the whole Test of Honor, you know, starter set. I've talked about that before. But I also have a ton of like Lord of the Rings stuff from Warlord Games that's still in the plastic. And gee, I mean, I just have a little bit of everything. Which goes to that conversation, you know, that pile of shame and wanting to buy more before you finish what you have. It's a sickness, you know? It's just crazy how much stuff I have.
That's how we describe you, Bill. It's sick.
So,
But yeah,
I may not be.
I could have told you that without you digging through the closet.
So, you know,
You got a lot of crap, dude.
right? And, you know, so,
Not
you know,
that it's crap, but
no, it's not. But, you know, and I mean, I have literally huge shipping boxes of MDF terrain I forgot I even had.
share with the group.
Well, there's a whole industrial complex that's in 28 millimeter.
Nice.
Really?
Yes.
That's got to be some big stuff if it's in 28.
So,
Yeah.
friends and family discount. Sure, you know,
Well,
throw that my way.
the funny thing you say, it's funny you say that, Marty, because I don't know if you guys are aware. I haven't had a chance to talk to my dear friends lately, but Dawn and I are in the planning stages of our 5-year plan. Our 5-year plan is within 5 years, we're selling everything, and we're going to buy a boat, and we're going to live on a boat down in Florida, and be able to travel like across to Bimini and the Bahamas and things like that, and then work remotely. So that is our plan.
You're going to have to offload a ton of crap.
Well, yeah, but I know some people who would probably like some of my crap
Yeah.
before I go off and mass sell it. So, you know.
Especially the industrial train, oddly enough.
Works very well for Batman. Or Crisis Protocol.
Right. As well as Delta 1-0.
Yep.
Literally set in an industrial setting.
Yeah. Well, you know, just to give you an idea what's in, you know, that elevated train we have down in the one room that we had on the hobby set?
Yeah.
That's part of that set.
Yeah.
So there's a couple factories and buildings and stuff in there as well. So, yeah. So, I mean, it just kind of go back to is how many people forget what kind of stuff they have. I mean, I'm looking at, I've got 4 packages of terrain, MDF terrain, still sealed in packaging here that I haven't put together. I've got several Courage and Contact from White Dragon Miniatures, you know, Afghanis and things like that. They're still in the package. You know, it's just, the thing is, it's so hard to keep up with what's going on. And, you know, unless you're a dedicated person, i.e. Jim, you know, if you're like me, it's like, ooh, that's cool. I need to have that. Ooh, that's cool. I got to have that. So I honestly think there needs to be a professional therapist that handles just hobbying. because I have a lot of stuff I'm honestly never probably going to ever use or play, so it's just amazing how much stuff you could collect and, be rich, quote unquote, in one way and be poor in another, or, not rich.
You have, my friend. Because I've seen much of that stuff, and you got a lot of stuff, dude.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well,
and it's all over.
It is.
It's not just like one thing. I mean, there's different scales and genres and all that stuff.
And it's not even confined to one room in this house. We've got the hobby room. We've got the stuff down. We built that table in the garage. Speaking of which, we need to do another Saturday Night Live episode here.
Yeah,
so.
I think I bring over that stuff I got from Chris Long, and we kind of slap some paint and drink some beer and talk some crap.
Hey, that sounds like a plan. Yeah, let's do that.
You gonna do any safety rails or anything?
No, because I actually bought saw blades.
To the table.
No, I actually got saw blades for my Sawzall. We'll just chop those legs down so that way Marty doesn't. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to get Marty a safety helmet. And a suit made of bubble wrap. So yeah.
Although we determined that maybe I need to fall in every episode because that seemed to have been pretty popular.
Yes. It was very well requested.
Yeah.
My daughter downloaded that video and saved it. Bookmarked the spot where I fall.
Nice.
Everybody who knows you and loves you, Marty, whether they game or not, they enjoyed that video.
True that.
Yeah. So
true.
Awesome. So we'll have to do another Saturday night live episode. Everybody really enjoyed that, and it was a lot of fun. And it's nice to be able to just hobby and not worry about a format and just talk about whatever, and just it was there just to have fun, really.
Yeah, and it's a good opportunity to engage with the community.
Yeah.
We doing it in a live stream format. People can pop on and throw whatever out there, make whatever comments they want.
Yep, most definitely. So,
good times.
Yeah, very good time. So we'll definitely plan another one after the 4th of July holiday. Sometime in July, we'll throw together another Saturday Night Live. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
Promos or something? No, just saying we'll put out some promos because it's done on one of our typical nights.
Right.
Usually we're Wednesday and Sunday.
Right.
Yep.
And sometimes, like the Barbarossa stream, when we game on an off day, or when we run a stream on the off day, people aren't expecting it.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll definitely promote it.
The YouTube comments and the YouTube views catch up later, but during the stream, nobody knows you're on.
Yeah. So we'll definitely promote the heck out of it, and we might try and start a little bit earlier so we catch the East Coast crew, the opposite side of the pond crew, because we did have a few people that stayed with us. Unbelievably, they stayed. I couldn't even imagine what time it was overseas.
I mean, it was like 3 a.m. when it wrapped up in the UK.
Yeah.
There's some night owls over there, especially on a Saturday.
Yeah. So we'll definitely. I'll have to work on like a cool intro and some music, and we'll promote it. And that sounds like a good idea. That sounds like a good time.
How are the speaking of getting together and hanging out? How are the COVID restrictions up by you guys?
What COVID restrictions? We're out.
I was going to say down here
they're essentially gone.
Yeah.
There's still some one-off places that will ask you to wear a mask while you're in there, but there's no group restrictions anymore. The state doesn't require any masks or anything. Like I said, individual businesses can obviously make that choice if that's where they're at, but that's pretty much gone away now. So
the only place
to get together
that really requires masking is healthcare facilities. So I still have to wear a mask every day, all day. So it's kind of a pain in the butt, but we do.
Yeah, my daughter is working at the physical therapy office, and they're doing the same thing. They're still in masks. Yeah. So hopefully in another month or so we can, because I just heard that 3 counties in the Chicagoland area reported no new cases. DuPage, Will, and I can't remember who the other one was. So, Marty, for you guys, you're good. No new cases. So buddy. We're on the way.
Yeah.
So to Jim's point, I feel the next question that Jim is thinking. I can feel the vibe all the way from Southern Florida. I think a meetup, eh?
Yeah, I was
a
thinking,
wargaming weekend.
Later on in the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if like a boot camp style kind of a meetup, but I don't know. I mean, I've got plans for potentially October, heading across the pond, and maybe, well, of course, July 4th weekend. But yeah, I've got a lot of vacation days to burn, I guess is what I'm saying.
Uh-huh. So, guys, you guys out there listening to this podcast, comment in whatever format you're listening to us on, Facebook, YouTube, or the plethora of podcasting, or send us an email at sitrep.podcast@gmail.com and let us know if that'd be something you'd be interested in, what kind of games you'd like to see. I can already name 2 games, Jim, that we definitely, if we do a weekend, have to play, and that's Skirmish Sitrep and Battle Carry Sabo.
Oh man, yeah, we need some. We need a nice big table and some 6mm armor.
Yeah, because those are your rule sets. So,
I claim responsibility. It's like a terrorist group. I claim responsibility.
So seriously, guys, these are Sitrep / Jim Ariskany Johnson original productions. These are his brainchild. So we'd love to see people actually play in person with these, you know. And of course, some of the more popular stuff we can throw out there as well. You know, we have, I have the Rourke's Drift set. I really would love to get on the table. Surprise. You know, and some other things. So,
the Alamo.
We sell the Alamo. And you know what? I saw somebody take that Alamo set and turn it into an Afghani village.
Yeah, I saw that as well. You know, if you kind of decorate it up right,
yep.
You know, put the right finishes on there, it's pretty passable.
Yeah, so we could do you know, Skirmish Sangan or Ultra Combat Modern or whatever rule set, Spectre. You know, we'll have terrain options. We'll have to, but we want to hear from you guys out there listening to us. Make sure you let us know. So,
so with the size of driveway you have, what about Harpoon? You know, I purchased that recently.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, have you even looked at the rule book, Chris?
Yeah, it's big.
He's looked at it sitting on his shelf.
I don't know if my driveway is even big enough for Harpoon, to be honest with you.
Harpoon isn't that bad. It's just very, very detail oriented, and it's much more about electronics. It's not a very pew-pew kind of a game.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of musket balls flying around. It's very, I've said it 100 times. You know, the first couple of times you play Harpoon, you're like, oh, I want this because it's got all the missiles and the phalanx systems on. It's going to be fucking awesome, man. Your third game of Harpoon, how many sensors, how many sonars, how many helicopters. Sensors, sonar, helicopters. I'm talking about helicopters. I'm talking about like Seahawks that drop sonobuoys. I'm not talking about you know, missiles and Apaches and all the crazy stuff. Right. It's you know, there's 3 important things in Harpoon, and to rank them from top to bottom, it's sensors, and then more sensors. It's a hide and seek game, to be sure. Yeah. Because I mean, there's no terrain. You're not hiding a ship. You've got missiles that fly 400 miles and do, you know, Mach 2. Your ship isn't going to dodge that at 30 knots. It's you know, nothing ever misses. Everything gets hit, dies. It's all about whether or not you're detected or not.
Exactly.
So it's a different kind of gaming. It's a lot of fun. We've kind of flirted around the edges of it with Naval Command by Rory Crabb. In a couple settings, but it's just a different kind of wargaming, to be honest.
Well, and if you want to play a naval game, Bill, don't you have a starter set for Victory at Sea?
I do. We can put that on the table as well.
What scale are those miniatures again for Victory at Sea?
What are they?
Like what million?
1800s? Hold on, I got the rule book right here.
I was going to say, I've got a crap ton of 1800 miniatures for World War II.
Yeah,
I don't have anything modern for miniatures, so I can't really help out with Harpoon on a physical board. But I got tons of World War II stuff in 1 to 1800.
Let's see.
Hell no.
And if we're doing nautical, I also have oak and iron.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the opposite. That's no detection in all cannonballs because you have to sink a ship made of wood.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Wood with a ball of iron.
Yeah, wood does not sink. It's startlingly difficult to sink a wooden ship. So it takes a lot of shooting.
You can incapacitate it fairly easily.
Unless you set it on fire or explode its magazine, it's going to be tough to sink. That's why there's so many boarding actions. Number one, it's also fun, but it's shockingly hard to sink those stupid things.
Well, that and back in the day, odds are they didn't want to sink the ship; they wanted the ship.
Yep, you can sell that bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier. They didn't have scuba back then, so they couldn't recover the treasure off the bottom.
Well, the ship itself was worth money, so you could take it and either keep it if it was a better ship than what you had, or sell it.
Or just increase the size of your little armada and conduct bigger raids and actions and such.
So now we're basically playing Sid Meier's Pirates. You start off with a little pinnace, and you have like 5 heavy frigates. Too bad each heavy frigate has like 5 crewmen aboard.
Yeah.
So you're sailing at like 3 knots because you don't have enough guys to run the ship correctly. I think those rules in history, those rules didn't go away until like 1805, 1806, because it was leading to some dumb decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But captains would not sink the enemy ship. They would try to steal it or board it and capture it, and then they would literally just sell the ship back to their own navy for, the captain would get to keep like 50% of the money. The officers whack up, the other 25%, and the last 25% gets, divided among the enlisted men or something like that. There was a whole system. I don't know the details, but prize money, and they would just literally sell the ship. I mean, not so much like Spanish gold treasure, but like actual French naval ships. There's no treasure on board. They would just sell the warship itself.
Yeah,
to be sure.
Yeah, and if they wanted maybe they wanted the cannons off of it. They're going to sell the boat, but they're going to keep the cannons for themselves and better outfit their own boats.
Yeah. Or things don't change in time because even then, ammo and weapons were expensive.
Yep.
Awesome. So there's an option.
Even if the French or Spanish, which they kind of were, the French or Spanish cannon were not. Were kind of inferior to the guns that the British had on it. The black powder is still hella valuable because those ships can only sail for too many, and there wasn't exactly a tender ship out there ready to resupply you.
Yeah. With
a whole new magazine of black powder.
Yep, and that was a great way to get some more. Go get it off of someone else's boat.
There you go. So, thinking of other options for a gaming weekend, Jim. I think if this happens and there's interest, I would have Valor and Victory printed. We could do the modern supplement.
Ooh, I have none of the modern stuff printed. I have all World War II stuff printed, including the maps.
Yeah. You know how you can order the print to order? Maybe we could just do that and just, if we can get the counters so we can get them printed up, and have them actually put on. Do you actually do cardboard on them or when you print your print? Wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how you do Valor and Victory. Oh,
yeah.
That's how you used to do Valor and Victory before they came out with their great video game release.
Yeah.
You would just download the sheet of counters, slap it on a nice sheet of, like, cardboard. I used Artist Mapboard because I like to be super fancy. Also, rule number 1 of Hex and Counter games, rule number 2 of Hex and Counter games, and rule number 3 of Hex and Counter games are actually all the same. Print your counters on the thickest cardstock that your hands don't get a cramp when you go to cut them with a pair of scissors or a razor blade, because nice, thick, chunky counters are so much easier to handle. People often just do it on like a sheet of cardboard that comes on the back of a notepad or something. It's super fast, it's super easy, but you're going to be killing yourself trying to
it's so hard to time.
Yeah,
pick them up or move them around. Yeah.
I've got a set of Panzerleader counters that I played with. Oh man, what happened to am I still on the call?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay, because my computer just turned off. What
Weird.
the hell?
Weird.
have no idea what the hell just happened. Huh. That's not good because I have a stream going in a couple minutes.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, yeah, counters. I have them on a whatchamacallit. We go to if you go to like Michael's Craft Store, you can buy a whole plastic bag of blank Scrabble wooden tiles, just without the letters on them from the board game Scrabble or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it's a lot of work, but damn, you got some nice deluxe counters.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
They stack up like poker chips, and they're awesome. But speaking of a potential game for any kind of a game, of a gaming weekend, I've got tons of 15 millimeter World War II. Like I've shown my case a couple times on Discord, like literally 1,200 vehicles plus. And Battle Group plays really good in 15 millimeter. Nice.
Awesome.
I think it's originally written for 20, but it plays really good at 15.
Fantastic. I'm in. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we definitely have to get on this. So, guys, let's try this again, shall we? Let's see if we can get a gaming weekend planned up. We'll have to see, where everybody feels the best timing is and go from there. So, awesome. All right. Does anybody else have anything as far as, projects or ideas? One last thing before I forget. I really liked the format of the first review impression video that Jim and I did on Wednesday night. We're probably going to do more of those where we just take something we have not actually done anything with and capture our first impressions on it. Some of it's probably going to be stuff that we've not personally played before, might not have a lot of knowledge, or there might be a comparative. I don't know, but I kind of like that, getting to know something a little bit, and that's
as long as the viewers are kind of cognizant and aware of the format, which is self-evident in the title, first impressions. I know sometimes, like in the video game community and like live streaming on Twitch or whatever, there are people who do like unboxings or first looks or things like that. Some people are like, oh yeah, but it's really fun to watch people play a game. They don't know what the hell's going on. Well, that's the whole idea of first impressions.
Yeah.
Is it's brand new. You're trying to figure out where the menus are, trying to figure out how the game functionality works and things like that. You're not like an expert tutorial, like, a risk of you playing, Panzerblitz or something like that. It's going to be, this is literally a first look. It's not a master class. I think as long as people are aware of that, it's going to be great. I mean, people do unboxings, people do first looks, reaction videos, all the time. Certainly.
It's a journey of discovery.
There you go. Very cool. All right. Marty, you have any projects or anything you want to talk about, or are you good?
Well, after I go shopping through all of your terrain, I'll let you
know. All right.
No. Other than that, like I said, those dudes from Chris Long is what I'm gonna start working on next. I think.
You know what? I think I might have to print up some of those because I backed that Kickstarter as well. So I might have to print up some just to see how they print up. So, and I still have the Bob Mack Kickstarter. I got to print up some tanks, man. I got some tanks I got to print up, see how they come out. I got all kinds of stuff I got to do. So much stuff and not enough time. Literally, you could devote your entire life to just doing this. And that's how I kind of got started. This is blame Beast of War. If it wasn't for Beast of War, I would not have half the crap I do. So it's all their fault. So, that's what happens when you're...
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, no, truly it is, because, we were part of the team and we were covering conventions and games. And, when you're in the industry, you get your hands on a lot of stuff and it accumulates, so.
Right.
Just got to work through it. So, all right. Chris, did you have any projects or any ideas that you wanted to throw out there?
Yeah, I'm going to be hopefully getting my oak and iron ships ready.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to do a little video on that one because I haven't seen a lot of stuff on that on YouTube. I imagine there is. I haven't really gone on my way to look for it, but it would be nice to have an impression on that game.
That's the same people who do Blood and Plunder, right?
Yes, it is. And now they have that World War I rule set too. So.
Which, now that one I'm familiar with. I actually played a couple turns of that with the designers at Historicon 2019. a demo game of that.
Awesome.
But the Oak and Iron one looks like it's less of a skirmish game and more of an actual battle game. Like the scale is zoomed out a little bit.
Right.
If I have the correct impressions, that looks a little bit more interesting to me than a pirate skirmish game. Oak and Iron is more of a naval war game.
Right.
Which, that actually looks pretty awesome.
Being able to, use the wind and everything else to, cut off and do whatever you need to do.
Sweet.
Yeah, and essentially you're not even a captain. You're more like an admiral controlling your little fleet going up against another one.
Yeah. So, there was one other thing I guess we should kind of talk about, but I don't really have much interest in it, but it's Mythic Games has a Kickstarter going on right now. Six Siege. It's based on Rainbow Six Siege. It's a board game with miniatures. I know nothing about it. I don't play Rainbow Six. I think the last version of Rainbow Six I played was like the first one or second one that ever came out. So, but if that's your thing, I'm looking at this. Obviously, it's a different world because I'm thinking, okay, half of these guys don't have weapons or anything that looks like real, and they have stupid face paint and stuff. I mean, just as an example. So I don't know much about this. Do you guys know anything about this? Chris, you're a video gamer. You know?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that though.
Okay. So it looks like I want to be fair because I do like Mythic Games and I know the people there. But I'm just wondering how a video game translates to the board game or tabletop game. It's an asymmetrical and tactical game based on the acclaimed shooter from Ubisoft, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Asians from different task forces are recruited into Team 6 and are trained to avert a global crisis. They compete in friendly matches, either as attackers or defenders. Okay. It's out there if you guys are into that kind of thing.
It's worked before. We talk often about turning a board game or a miniatures game into a computer game. That, going one way definitely works.
Uh-huh.
In fact, it actually, like Harpoon's a good example. Harpoon, I think, really was successful-ish as a miniatures or I would say tabletop game, but I really mean like a tennis court top game or a driveway game. But as a physical game, it really kind of took off as a computer game because there's a lot of detail on that, and it helps when the computer is there to help you with the detail and tracking all the details and the not paperwork, but all the tracking information that goes into it.
Right.
Reversing that. Turning a video game into a tabletop game, it has worked. I don't know if this one works because I haven't actually seen any information on it.
Uh-huh.
I believe Dark Souls and some of that stuff was turned into a tabletop game.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Of course, it started off as a big, a video game, obviously, and it was, as successful as far as I know as a board game as well. Just of course, it's not going to be as fast as a video game.
Right.
The whole Rainbow Six thing, I never played any Rainbow Six. I did do some of the old console-based Tom Clancy stuff, more of the Ghost Ops.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's quite the same franchise as Rainbow Six. I always thought Ghost Ops was a little more realistic, and even that one wasn't that realistic. So the whole Rainbow Six stuff, like you were mentioning, like some of the weapons, when you say they don't look real, do they look like sci-fi kind of?
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of these miniatures, and I mean, I see a tactical shotgun that looks good, and then you see some that are like, is that a laser gun? Or obviously it's a video game, right? They're going to have, but some of them look, I don't know. Maybe it's just not my cup of tea.
Well, some of the Ghost Ops games and even Call of Duty games went into near future.
Yeah.
Some of the weapons, you may not be technically phaser rifles from Star Trek or anything, but they are going to be a little, not so much sci-fi, but 5 minutes in the future kind of stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. If I would hope that if they're going to make a table game, that would be more like the original Rainbow Six.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way it would tie more into the book. But more and more Tom stuff is just being created just using his name. While the movie Without Remorse was a very good movie, it had only a couple things that were the same as the book. And yeah, that's about it.
Oh yeah, that goes back to Hunt for Red October. Hunt for Red October bears a passing resemblance to the novel, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And how many people have played Jack Ryan by now? I mean, come on, it's worse than James Bond or Batman. Pick a guy and settle on it.
Well,
I still say Harrison Ford is my Jack Ryan.
Oh, I agree. I agree on that.
Yeah, no,
these other guys
for
are
sure,
too young.
100%.
Too young. Jack Ryan is not a 20-something action hero. Read the friggin' books, people.
Right.
Yeah. But some of the stuff, different people were. I can't see him being the same one through all the different movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I always kind of figured that James Bond was almost like a title. You get to be 007. Because you're a spy,
Right.
you're probably gonna have assumed identity anyway. You are now James Bond.
Exactly.
In the 60s. Hello, Sean Connery. And then by the year 2012, okay, it can't be the same guy anymore.
Right.
Obviously. So it's almost like James Bond is almost like the Black Pirate Roberts from Princess Bride. It's a name that gets passed down through the generations.
Exactly. I mean, but the problem with that is in Skyfall, you see his parents' grave. But, however, guys, because you brought it up, Jim, I got to go there. You guys have to watch. There's a video on YouTube that correlates Sean Connery's James Bond with The Rock and how John Mason is James Bond. Put it.
Oh, that's all a shared universe now.
I'm serious. You watch this video, and the dude that put this video does such a deep dive. He correlates timelines and locations, and he makes a compelling argument that John Mason is James Bond. So
that's why George Lazenby and Roger Moore actually took over, because the original James Bond wound up being a prisoner in the United States.
Yes. Yeah. It goes into how James Bond is not his real name, and it really does a strong argument that could be quote unquote James Bond. So if you guys haven't seen that video, it's out there. Take a look at it. It's really, really well done. And it convinced me. I'm like, holy crap, that could be.
Now I'm intrigued. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's
fan
really
theories
cool.
are sometimes they're just dumb. It's okay, Mr. Fan who came up with this theory, you did not watch the movie, because it's clear. People who say that the new Mad Max in Fury Road is the feral kid from Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. Clearly did not watch the freaking Road Warrior. They tell you who the feral kid is. Other fan theories are actually pretty interesting. People put a lot of work into that, and sometimes it really, like you're saying here, sometimes it really does line up. But there are some bad ones out there too.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes that stuff lines up a lot better than the way the new producers and directors new movies.
Because the fans put more work into the screenplay than the friggin' screenwriters do.
Yeah. You didn't
So yeah. All right, guys. Cool. Anybody else have any last thoughts or input before we close out the show for this week?
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah. I think you need to share some of your 45 Colt.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
I think you need to share some of your 45 Colt.
I don't think so, because I have a Henry rifle. I love that thing. And but however, my Henry rifle doesn't shoot 45 Colt. It shoots 357. I am going to get a 45 Colt Henry. I have to, because I have my 6-shooter, obviously, in 45 Colt. I need to have them both in the same caliber. So it's on my wish list. So,
Don, that was not me. Do not blame me for that. You noticed I said nothing.
The funny thing is, Marty, yesterday I finally got around to unboxing the other gun shelf. The wooden, real nice thing. Yesterday, it's only been a year since I received it, and I went, Dawn. She's like, what? I said, I need to buy a new gun, because this gun shelf really needs its own gun, not something I already have. She's like, no, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna happen.
Once again, not my fault. I did not have anything to do with this, Dawn.
So
Yeah, you're in trouble enough with your own wife.
Right?
So
Yeah,
I'll have to figure that one out. But for everybody out there who sticks with us, hey, guys, we hit over 500 subscribers or followers on Facebook
Yeah.
last week, and as of today, Jim, I haven't looked. Have you looked today? Where we're at, bud?
596.
We're 4 away. Come on, people.
So close.
We only have a few more days till the end of the month, and Jim predicted we would hit 600 by the end of the month. Don't let Jim down.
I was hoping to hit 600. 600 was our annual goal to hit by December 31st.
Right.
If we hit it exactly halfway through the year, just like we did last year, that would
Just like last year.
It would be borderline creepy. It would be such a coincidence again.
So, friends, countrymen, Romans, etc., tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. Please. We're only 4 away. We can do this.
Sneak onto your wife's computer, your brother's computer, your girlfriend's computer. Subscribe when they're not looking. We just need 4 more subscribers.
Right? So make sure...
Fire up my other burner account.
There you go.
So please, guys.
We all have more than one account, guys. We all know we do for when we go into Google incognito mode. Don't pretend like you don't. Don't pretend like you don't. Subscribe. Help a brother out.
You're right.
Right?
I prefer the, real subscribers, though.
Yeah. So, if you wouldn't mind passing the word, hitting that like, subscribe, notification bell, all those things you do on all the platforms, help us get to that 600. And I could see a prize going out for our Facebook 500 and a prize going out for our YouTube 600. So, yeah, let's do this, guys. We're only a couple away. We can do this. All right, guys. For the rest of the crew here at the Sit Rep Podcast, we appreciate everything you do. Go ahead.
One quick one
Yes.
before we hang it up. Ralph, one of our former members, I just wanted to give a shout out to him. His dad passed away this week. So, Ralph, our condolences to you and the family, and you're in our thoughts, buddy.
Yes. So, thank you guys, everybody, for continuing your support. Our 3-year anniversary is on July 8th. So, it seems like more than 3 years, but, well, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But thank you for being with us, especially those who have been with us from the beginning. We appreciate it. And we will see you on the next episode.
You have been listening to the Sitrep podcast. We hope you have enjoyed the show. Make sure you like and subscribe to all of our channels on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Discord. Remember to join us every other weekend for a new episode of the podcast, and don't forget our other programming on Wednesdays and Sundays. Thanks for listening.